Hi, my name is Troy Henninger, principal of Brunswick High School, and welcome to another edition of Hey Brunswick. Hey Brunswick is a monthly video podcast where we will be sharing news and events from Brunswick students and staff, plus opportunities for community connection.
Hey there, I'm Community Outreach Coordinator Andrew Lardy. To kick us off, our spring musical, Footloose, opened last night in Crooker Theater. A few of the cast members told us all about their experience putting the show together.
Hi, my name is Logan Whalen. I'm a junior and I play Reverend Shaw Moore.
I'm Samantha Melquist. I'm a senior and I play Ariel Moore.
I'm Jaden Nisita. I'm a sophomore and I play Ren McCormick.
Footloose is a show about a clash between two different generations. So there's, on the one hand, there's the town of Beaumont, mostly the adults, that say that dancing should not be allowed, but then Ren McCormick comes in and brings in new ideas from Chicago and decides that dancing should be allowed.
You should come see the show. We have a fantastic cast and amazing choreography.
And it's music that you likely already know.
But it's also just a really fun show to be a part of and also to come watch. So come see Footloose.
What are the dates?
April
the dates
31st.
Nope. The dates are March 31st, April 1st, and April 2nd. The 31st and 1st at 7 p.m. and April 2nd at 7 p.m. and 2 p.m.
Holy cow, just 6 days after Footloose, on April 8th and 9th, also in Crooker Theater, is the return of Brunswick City Limits. You won't want to miss a rockin' slate of BHS student vocalists backed by a tight student horn section, educator house band Mama Tried, and of course, earnest attempts at humor by your MC, Mr. Clark Porter. Tickets at the door for this show are $5 for students and seniors, $10 for everyone else. That's 7 p.m. on April 8th and 9th. Hey Brunswick's student correspondents have been busy checking in with various school clubs, many of which are rebuilding this semester as more activities become available, both inside and outside of school. Here's what they heard. On the curricular side of things, we caught up recently with technology education teacher Bill Clark to understand some of the projects students have created this year in his engineering design course, and the process of getting there.
Hi everybody, I'm Mr. Clark. I'm the technology education teacher here at Brunswick High School. The class that you're going to see a clip from is from my pre-engineering class. This is a branch of engineering. It's called fluids. You have an input motion and force and you have an output motion and force. There's a controller that the operator will manipulate, will create a pressure that will go through a hose and essentially animate that other cylinder that's on the device. Often, when we just are tasked with designing and making something, it's limiting in a lot of ways. When you're just introduced to the raw material, that frees you up to make a lot different kinds of design decisions. What I feel is really important is, particularly early in the design process, is generating as many ideas as you possibly can so that you're in a position to pick and choose what you think is going to be the best or the most optimal solution. For me, I find that the time is more valuable actually, making stuff. And being able to commit your ideas to paper and see what you have in mind. And I think what happens is that really that sheet of paper represents that student's imagination. At that point, that they're actually learning something.
The Quiz Bowl team has had a lot going on lately, with a tournament in February, and just last week a taping of High School Quiz Show Maine for Maine Public Broadcasting. Club advisor and social studies teacher Anna Roy shared the story.
I'm Anna Wiley. Quiz Bowl is basically a competitive team where kids essentially involve themselves in what's basically a trivia contest. It's about a whole bunch of different categories. They read the questions in a kind of confusing way. It's big at the beginning, and then they give you more clues. The kids have been in 2 tournaments so far. They placed second in their very first tournament, which I thought was amazing because it was teams from all over New England, and they placed first in Maine amongst all the Maine teams, and then second overall. So that was awesome. But what is most exciting for Quiz Bowl is the fact that the kids took their qualifying exam for Quiz Show Maine. and they passed with flying colors and are going to be recorded. Their first session will be next Wednesday, and if they do well in that, then they'll move on to semifinals, finals, etc. And I have high hopes for them because they are a bright team of individuals. I think that for some of them, it definitely helps with confidence too. And honestly, everybody should be celebrated, you know? We don't always celebrate like kids that are really good at knowing stuff. I think it's important to be supporting how those academics translate to something like this.
You can catch the broadcast of our Quiz Bowl team on High School Quiz Show Maine probably sometime in June. We'll share that information whenever it's available. Are you looking for a wardrobe refresh? Or maybe just some spare supplies to get you through the week? The Thrift recently reopened in a new space, offering every BHS student just about every essential item a teenager needs. And so many cute tops!
Yeah, so I'm Mia Klimash, I'm a senior.
I'm Sarah Johnson, I'm also a senior.
So Miss Kuhnhart came up to me and a few of my other friends and asked us if we'd be interested in helping her during our flex periods to kind of like organize everything and put everything away, and we like gladly said yes to that.
Yeah, and I heard it from Mia, who's been doing a great job at like getting the word around and just like making sure everyone knows about it, and that it's gonna be open very soon.
I would say maybe we call it like the thrift closet. A closet that we made into like almost like a little mini store for students to be able to like shop through and grab any like personal needs that they would need.
There's hygiene products, there's shoes, clothes. So all the hygiene products were donated by a group called Teen, who worked very hard and gathered stuff from the local community for everyone to have access to.
Yeah, and everything in this closet is free, so there's no charge to anything that you'd like in here. And if you can think of anything at home that you'd like to come in and donate that you won't have use of there, that would be greatly appreciated. Flex on Mondays and Thursdays is a great time to stop by. And Miss Kuhnhart will maybe be down here if she's open then as well, but yeah.
This week, the second annual Maine Virtual Career Fair brought BHS students over 100 live presentations and Q&As with professionals from just about every line of work in Maine. The program was launched by a group of career development educators led in part by Brunswick High School's longtime community outreach coordinator, Rick Wilson. Students from BHS, as well as the Off-Campus Learning Center and the junior high, attended either as a whole class or individually.
One of the ones we watched today was a Nordics one that is in Maine, and it was all about there are a group of people that study and analyze blood samples that doctors will send in, and they'll create lab reports and send them back to doctors. And this was a very organized presentation. They had a whole slideshow on it, and it helped me understand because I've had lab reports. I've had my blood drawn a couple times just recently too, so I was always curious about where this was going, how this worked, and so they explained the whole step-by-step process. One thing that was really good is when you could tell we'd log into the presentation, the people would already have a presentation ready, they're already prepared, and you felt like you could just sit and listen.
Most of them, they were ready to talk, they had their presentations ready, and they left a chunk of time at the end for questions. I think when the kids asked questions about like hours and pay, that was really helpful for us to know. Some people base their future jobs on money, so it was just like good to hear how much starting wage is and how much you can increase it to, whatever the promotion's like, so that was like good to hear.
It was also nice to hear someone who was actually working the job that could explain this and not just like some random website and their average estimate and everything. You could hear honest input
from experience.
Yeah.
For the past 9 months, BHS library staff have been working with students on a project funded by the Brunswick Community Education Foundation to offer virtual reality experiences as a tool for teaching. Audiovisual assistant Ryan Weed walked us through what's new and what's next.
Last year, Mr. Drum and I were discussing some different technologies we could bring in to the library and in the makerspace. And one of those was virtual reality. And there were BCF grants available, so we applied. We were able to get 2 headsets. So we have a HTC Vive and a HTC Cosmos. And we also were able to get pieces to build a PC, so that was another thing. We had students come in and learn how to build a PC. That way they kind of knew from scratch, like definitely science. There's a lot of really great STEM experiences in games. So one of them we have is a spacewalk of the ISS. We have underwater exploration. Also art. There's a lot of 3D design. And this entire space, when it's clean, is pretty much the entire environment. Last week we had teachers come in during professional development, and that was really fun because we had the projector up, so it really gave the teachers an idea of what they can expect the students to experience. And there's a lot of different experiences and games you can get with VR that I think can really help in the classroom because it gives students a different medium to learn.
For this week's Principal's Corner, Mr. Henninger walks us through some of the ways BHS students can look beyond the traditional classroom to earn credit.
Hey Brunswick, I'm excited to share a few stories today about one of my favorite aspects of the Brunswick High School curriculum, extended learning opportunities, or better known as ELOs. ELOs are student-driven projects that recognize the valuable learning students achieve through sustained work outside of our traditional courses. For students like sophomore Emily Pelkey, this means adding a little academic formality on top of an existing paid job. This semester, Emily developed an ELO related to her job at a local horse farm, where she is learning a ton about biology and business of equine care.
Well, so I started going there in the summer before my 8th grade year, and I just been bouncing around from barn to barn, and this one's right down the road from my house. It's just basic chores, so muck out the stalls, waters, hay, grain, shavings, make sure all the horses are upright. I'm working a lot on finances because I just got my own horse, which is very new. I started working for the same boss man that the other lady at the barn I work for. So she's helping me with that too. So that way I get paid so I can pay for my horse. Okay, I go to the farm every day after school for 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 4 or 5, depending on the day. And then weekends, it can range from 2 hours to 8 hours, depending on what we have to do and what time of year it is. I'm learning how to take care of my own farm without the pressure of having to take care of my own farm. Like, you still have someone to fall back on that knows, like, she's had years and years and years of experience. So I get all that knowledge that she's accumulated over the years, and then I can build on that the longer that I have horses.
Other ELOs are tied to student career exploration or volunteer work. And of course, some of ELOs fall into a more traditional definition of academic inquiry, but gives students the flexibility to dig into a topic that is not covered in our courses. These students commit about 60 hours of their semester-long ELO, just like in a traditional course. It takes maturity, but for motivated students, this personalized opportunity is waiting to be seized. Mr. Lardy is happy to work one-on-one to help your student take advantage of one of the non-traditional pathways to learn and to show what they know during their time at Brunswick High School.
And finally, just a few weeks ago, Brunswick's boys hockey team skated to their first ever state championship, shutting out Camden Hills in the Class B final at Cross Arena on the way to a 2-0 victory.
Coach Meisner would like to thank all the assistant coaching staff for their support and help during this amazing season.